Hello, welcome to Homework Hotline. I'm Wilfred Smith. Homework Hotline is your show, and we're here to answer your homework questions in mathematics and English, so give us a call. Now today we will be graphing inequalities and finding the maximum or minimum of a given function within that region. And my teaching partner today is Miss Irene Masiyama. Miss Masiyama.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Hi, I am Irene Masiyama, and today I'll be covering some percent problems and maybe some ratios and maybe some radicals. And we're going to get started in just a minute, but first, here's one of my teaching partners, Angela Hewlett-Block, to fill us in on our live phone calls. Angela.
Thank you, Irene. Indeed, I am Angela Hewlett-Block, and just listen to these phones. Your calls are important to us, and we're here to help. As you can hear, the phones are very busy right now, so if you're having trouble getting through, please be patient. If you have an English question, call, please, and ask for me. I need a caller today, and maybe I can do your question live on the air. Don't forget, on next Thursday's show, June 13th, we're announcing the winners of the essay contest. Our judges are almost finished, and we're very excited about the essays we've received. So join us next Thursday. Now, English comes on today at 5 o'clock, so stay tuned now for 30 minutes of math with Wilfred and Irene.
Thank you, Angela. Remember, you can get your homework questions answered simply by calling 1-800-527-8839 or just call 1-800-LA-STUDY. The call is free, the help is free. So what are you waiting for? And now here's Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Miss Masiyama. And there is a call on the line. Hello?
Hello?
And what is your name, please?
Elisa?
Alisa. Now, what grade are you in, Alisa?
I'm a freshman.
You're a freshman? Is that 9th grade?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And which school do you attend?
Peninsula High School.
Okay, Peninsula, is that what you said?
Yeah.
All right. Now, you had a problem dealing with inequalities, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, take a look at the board, Alisa. Can you see it? All right. Would you read your problem to us, please?
Graph the system of inequalities, name the vertices, and
Give the maximum.
give the maximum and minimum values of the given function.
Okay. Now, would you read the inequalities for us, please?
Y is greater than or equal to 1.
Right.
-4 is less than or equal to X is less than or equal to 2.
Very good.
And Y is less than or equal to 1, or is less than or equal to
X plus 5?
X plus 5, and then the f of X comma Y
Yeah.
is equal to 4X minus 2Y.
All right. So what we want to do is to find the maximum or minimum of this function within this region, right? Okay. So first, let us graph this, okay? By the way, is this exactly what you gave us?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's start with the y is greater than or equal to 1, right? Now, what you do when you're graphing inequalities, Alisa, is to just graph the equation of the line and then decide where to shade in, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, so for y is greater than or equal to 1, we're going to graph the equation y equals 1, okay?
Okay.
Now, when we draw the line of the graph, right, we're going to decide to either use dotted lines or solid lines, depending on whether or not we're talking about strictly greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, right? If it is equal to, then we will have solid lines, okay? All right. Now, let's talk about y is equal to 1. Do you know what the graph of y equals 1 looks like?
It would be a solid line that
Would
is horizontal.
It's horizontal.
And it's one up from the axis.
Right. So can you see my graph right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Let this be our y-axis, and that is our x, right? All right. So 1 up from the 0, 0, right? And it is horizontal. You said it should be solid, right?
Yeah.
So let's do that. So this is the line y equals 1, right? Okay. Now, now we want to decide on whether we're going to shade in above the line or below the line. Okay. How would you go about doing that?
Because it's greater than, it would be above the line.
Okay. Well, yes. But let me tell you what I like for my students to do. I always want them to test a point in the plane, right? And the best choice is 0, 0, right?
Yeah.
So, and you plug it in, right? So if you plug in 0 for y, right? then you would get that 0 is greater than or equal to 1, right? Now, is that true?
No.
No. So since it's not true, we will not shade in the region that contains 0, 0, but rather the other half plane, right? And so you were right. We're shading in this region
Yeah.
above the line, as you said, right? But I always want the students to test the points, okay?
Okay.
Because it's not always obvious as in that case. And that one was obvious. Okay. Now, secondly, we're going to talk about x being between -4 and 2, right? So x is greater than or equal to -4, and x is less than or equal to 2. How may we graph that region?
Well, we can separate it into two inequalities.
Right. So if we have -4 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 2, we have one, x is greater than or equal to -4, right? And what's the second one?
X is less than 2.
X is less than or equal to 2, right?
Yeah.
Now, what is the conjunction joining these two? Is it or is it and?
And.
And, okay, right? And that becomes crucial in some other problems too, right? And in fact, in this problem, it is crucial. So let's see, what do we get? So we need the line x equals -4, right? So x equals -4. And,
Okay.
and it is solid, right?
Yeah.
Because of the greater than or equal to. So what type of a line is that one?
It's vertical.
Vertical.
And it's from -4.
Right, so let's go to -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is -4.
And a vertical solid line.
A vertical solid line, so like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And then the
Now,
next one.
next one, let's deal with the 2.
Okay, that would be, since it's greater than or less than or equal to.
Okay.
It's a solid line.
Solid line again at 2, right? Vertical again. All right, now, we want x to be greater than or equal to -4, right? And so if we try that 0, 0 routine that we just did, right? Substituting 0 for x, 0, is 0 greater than or equal to -4?
No.
Look at it.
Oh, yeah.
It is, right? So yes, so we will shade in the region that includes 0, right?
Yeah.
And so what we get this time, we cannot go below the line y equals 1, right? This was the line y equals 1. So we have to stay above it, and we have to stay to the right of -4. So we're still in this region, right? Can you see it?
Yeah.
And we cannot go past x equals 2, right?
Right.
Because we have to stay to the left of -2. And if we tried at 0, 0 again, we would see that, yes, we need to stay to the left, right?
Right.
Okay, so right now, we're talking about this region. Right? That seems like a rectangular region so far, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but then we have another constraint, right? Y is less than or equal to x plus 5. So let's do that here. Y is less than or equal to x plus 5. We need the line y equals x plus 5. And how are we going to decide on this one?
You'd find the slope.
Find the slope. The slope is 1, right? And what is the y-intercept?
It would be 5.
It would be 5. So let's go and graph that, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the y-intercept is at 5, so the point 0, 5 is a point, right? Now, how do we use the slope to find some other point on the line?
Well, since it's 1 over 1.
Right, so you go up 1 and across 1, right?
Yeah.
Up 1 and across 1, just like that. Okay. And are we going to have a, let's go back so you can see, right? Are we going to have a solid line or a dotted line?
Solid because it's less than and or greater.
Right, so because of the equal to, right?
Yeah.
So now the line then is this line, and it is solid, right? Okay. Now, we have to now decide whether we're going to shade in above the line or below the line, right?
Yeah.
And this time it's not that obvious. Of course, you could say, well, I know it's automatically below, but
Yeah.
some of these become very tricky, right? So on this case, let us once again use the 0, 0, right? Okay, and if we substitute, for y we get 0, less than or equal to, for x it is again 0, plus 5. Now, is 0 less than or equal to 5?
Yeah.
Yes, so which means we need to shade in the region that includes 0, 0, right?
Yeah.
And that means we will be below the line. True?
Yes.
All right, now, except we cannot go below y equals 1, right? So what we end up with is this region. Can you see the color
Yeah.
chalk? And we have this triangular region, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good. So now we have graphed the system of inequalities, right? Now we were also asked to find the vertices. So let's see if we can identify some vertices. This is, what is this point right here? Do you know?
2, 1.
2, 1. So let me write that beside it. 2, 1. Okay. Do you know what this point is right here?
It'd be 1, 1.
Okay, is that 1?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, look.
-4.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, maybe. Okay.
Oh, -3, 1.
Okay, now let's, it might be, but again, my scale might not be correct. You see how that looks? So here's what we're going to do. To make sure, we're going to solve for that point, right?
Okay.
Now, this is the intersection of the line y equals 1, right? And the line y equals x plus 5. Do you see? So let us solve for that. So in place of a y, we can put a 1, right?
Okay.
So 1 equals x plus 5.
Okay.
And what will x be equal to?
-4.
-4. So x equals -4. So my line is off a little bit,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So really, this should, it really should come all the way back there to this point, should it not? Okay, my line is off, okay. All right, we're going to make sure this point is really -4, comma
1.
1. Okay, and I'm so sorry that it did.
It's okay.
It should pass through that point. Okay, let's find this point, okay?
Okay.
And this is the intersection of x equals 2 and that same line, right? So where we have y equals x plus 5, in place of x we can write a 2. So y equals 2 plus 5, and what is y?
Y equals 7.
7. So what are the coordinates of this point?
2, 7.
2, 7. Okay. Those are the vertices, right? Okay. So let us summarize the vertices, right? Are -4, 1, 2, 1, and 2, 7. Got it?
Yeah.
All right. Now, we now need to maximize the function, right? Let's go to the function. Let me see if I can rewrite the function. You remember what it was? F of x, comma y was?
Equals 4x minus 2y.
4x minus 2y. We want the maximum and the minimum. Now, to do that, of course, you know that the maximum or the minimum will occur at one of the vertices because inside is not quite the most use of the resources if this were economics, for example, right? And when you get up into like the 11th or 12th grade, you'll study that, right?
Okay.
So we'll only look at the vertices. Got it? Now let's try the first one, okay? We need to find f of -4, 1. Tell me what to write. 4 times what?
4 times
What is
-4.
right? Because the x is -4 and the y is 1, right? So we get 4 times -4 minus
2
times 1. Let's do it all and just write the code. 4 times -4,
-16.
2 times 1,
2.
-2, right? Well, okay, -2
minus
times, so -16 and -2 is?
-18.
-18. So this is -18, right? Now we're not sure if that's a maximum or a minimum, right?
Yeah.
So let's go to the next one. F of 2, 1. We
Okay.
get 4 times,
2
yes,
minus
2
2 times 1.
Okay. 4 times 2?
8 minus 2 is 6.
Very good. 6. Let's do f of 2 comma 7, right? Okay, that is 4 times 2 minus 2 times 7. 4 times 2?
8,
Negative 2 times 7.
14,
So negative 14. 8 minus 14?
negative 6.
Negative 6. Okay, so now we have all these answers, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's talk about the maximum, right? Which is greatest? Negative 18. So let me just put negative 18, negative 6, positive 6, or negative 6. Which is greatest?
6.
6. So the maximum then is 6, right?
Uh-huh.
The minimum. What's the minimum?
That would be the lowest.
And what is that?
Negative 18.
Negative 18. And you have just completed your problem, right?
Uh-huh. Oh, thank you.
All right. Let's have a round of applause for Alicia. And we've just run out of time, Alicia, so please call us again, okay?
Thank you.
And now, Miss Irene Masiyama.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. That was quite an involved problem there. I believe I have a student on our hotline also. Hello.
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Okay. Can you speak a little bit louder?
Okay, I'm fine.
Ah, good. What is your name?
My name is Evangeline.
Hi, Evangeline. What grade are you in?
I'm in 6th grade.
And what school do you go to?
And Stallions.
You go to which school?
Stanford.
Stanford School, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You have some problems for us, right, Evangeline?
Yeah.
Okay, you said something about percent problems. Can you see the board?
Yeah, I can.
Can you see the board? Okay, keep talking real loud because I can barely hear you now, okay? Can you read the problem or shall I read it? Evangeline, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can you read the problem?
Yeah.
25% of 80, okay? Evangeline, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, and the other one was 75% of 24, right?
Yes.
Okay, now Evangeline, you wanted to know if the first one was less than, greater than, or equal to, right?
Yes.
Okay, I've just been asked to tell you, could you use your regular phone?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Good, all right. All right, now, which one is the less than? Which one is the greater than symbol? You know which one is the equal one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how can you tell which one is the greater than or which one is the lesser?
You can tell by making 25% into a fraction.
Oh, okay.
And you could put 25 over 100.
Oh, okay. In other words, this is a fraction, but it's also called a ratio, isn't it? Good, all right. You're comparing two numbers using a fraction form, which is a ratio. Good, okay, now, what did you do to 25 over 100? What can you do to it?
You can
Simplify
you can simplify it.
or reduce
Or
it?
reduce.
Uh-huh. And what number will go both into 25 and into 100?
You can put what was it?
25 goes into both, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 25 goes into 25 how many times?
25 goes into 25 1.
Right? And then 25 goes into 100 how many times?
4.
4. All right, so that you know that 25% really means 1/4, right? Okay, so you're looking for 1/4 of 80. Now, if you want 1/4 of 80, what would you do to find out what that number is?
You would cross cancel.
Well, okay, you could do that. You could say 1/4 of 80 means 1/4 times 80, right? Okay, that's one way to do it. But if you want just 1/4 of something, couldn't you also divide by 4?
Yeah.
Right? And maybe you could probably do that in your head. Can you divide 80 by 4 in your head?
Yeah.
How many times?
It would be 40.
40? 4 into 80?
20.
20, that's right. Okay, so your answer is 20. Okay, now, the way you said it was you said you could multiply also, right?
Yeah.
1/4 of 80 means 1/4 times 20. Well, I'm going to do it here so you can see it, and it'll come out the same. You put 80 over 1. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're going to you said cross cancel, which is simplifying, right? It's just like reducing, isn't it? Okay, 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 80 how many times?
4 goes into 80 20 times.
20, right? 4 into 80, and isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
Right? You said, well, remember, 1/4 is the same as dividing by 4. Divide by 4 in your head. 4 goes into 80 how many times?
20 times.
20 times. So you know that 25% of 80 is?
20, what? What's the question?
25% of 80 is?
Um,
20, right?
yeah.
Okay, that's what you just said, right?
I
Okay,
couldn't
now,
hear you.
let's look on the other side. You have 75% of 24. What does 75% mean, Evangeline?
75% means, like, it would be, 1
75 over?
over 100.
Over 100, and we can reduce 75 over 100, right? Okay, how are you going to reduce it? What number goes into both?
What number? It would be, 5.
Or, no, remember, what-
would be,
Remember the number we used before? 25?
25,
All
yeah.
right, isn't 25 going to 75 and into 100 evenly?
Yeah.
Okay, how many times is 25 going to 75?
3,
Yes. And 25 into 100?
25, 4.
4 times. So 75% is actually what fraction? 3 over
What was
4. 3/4, right?
3/4, yeah.
Okay, 75% is 3/4. Now, do you know what 1/4 of 24 is?
What?
1/4 of 24.
1/4 of 24, it would be,
Divide 4 into 24.
okay.
4 into
1
24,
it would be,
6, right?
yeah.
4 into 24 is 6. And 6 times 3, because you want 3/4, would be what?
It would be,
6 times 3.
it would be 18.
18, right? Wouldn't that be the answer?
Yeah.
Okay, now you can do that in your head, Evangeline. You don't have to write everything down. I
I'm
think
not writing.
some of this you want to try and do in your head, right?
Yeah.
Okay, once more. 75% reduces to what fraction?
It reduces to 3/4.
3/4. You want to find 3/4 of 24, right? Okay, but you know that 1/4 of 24 was what?
1/4 of 24 would be
6, right? And then you want 3/4, which so it'd be 6 times 3, which is
18.
18, right? Okay, so now you got the answer to the right-hand side, which is 18. You have the answer to the left side, is 20. So let me put it together. All right, Evangeline, what are we going to use? Which symbol is the less than? Which symbol is the greater than? We know they're not equal, right? Okay, so which symbol are we going to use?
Uh,
20 is
it would be, greater,
greater than 18. Now, which symbol is the greater than symbol?
right? Or would it be right?
The one that's pointing to the
Right.
right. Okay, so if I put that symbol in there, 20 is greater than 18, this would be a true statement, right? Okay, now, I said I'd share something with you. One of my students said that, you know, he had a hard time remembering which one was the greater than, which one was the lesser than, and then he finally figured it out. And you know what he said?
Right.
He said, you know this symbol right here, the less than? Okay, he says the less than looks like it's been stepped on. It looks like an L for less than, like an L that somebody stepped on. And so he says that's why he remembers this one looks like an L that's been stepped on, an L meaning less than. Okay? So if that helps you, you can use that. If you like your way, pointing to the right is greater than, that's okay too, all right?
Okay.
I share all these little things that students share with me. Okay, are you okay with the symbols then? Greater
Yeah.
than, less than, or equal to? Good. Okay, you also had another problem about two triangles, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, and you said that the ratio of the two triangles was something like what? 2 centimeters to what?
To 5 meters.
5 meters. Okay, so the ratio of the two triangles, 2 centimeters to 5 meters. Well, I'm really sorry, I can't draw a triangle big enough to accommodate us, so you're going to have to pretend like this is a big one, okay?
Okay.
And then we'll pretend like this is a little one, right?
Okay.
And if I draw too little, you can't see it, so I had to blow this one up. So we really have a little triangle and one huge one, right?
Okay.
Okay, now you're saying the ratio of the two triangles is 2 centimeters to 5 meters, right? Okay, and you have on this little triangle ABC here, you're saying this side is 4 centimeters, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying how big is the corresponding side in the big one that's over here? So you're going to say 2 centimeters over 5 meters is going to match with what? 4 centimeters with,
centimeters?
and you don't know what the other one is, right?
No.
Okay, which letter would you like to use?
N.
Oh, N? Okay, let's use N here. Okay, we have 2 centimeters to 5 meters is proportional to, does that word sound familiar? Proportional to?
Yeah.
Proportional to, or has the same ratio as 4 centimeters to some number that we're looking for, right? Okay?
Okay.
All right, now, when we say that the ratio is 2 centimeters to 5 meters, okay, we're saying that that's true for all sides, right? All three sides? Okay, that means that the two triangles have to be the same shape, isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay, they have to be similar is the word that we use. These two triangles are similar triangles, and so therefore their ratios are going to be the same no matter what you do. This side to this side will reduce to 2/5, right? Okay. This side over here compared to this side, no, I'm sorry, this one to this one will reduce to 2/5, and the bottom one and the corresponding bottom side is going to reduce to 2/5. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so to find this one then, we have two equal ratios. Are you there? Evangeline, are you there? I lost her. Oh, I haven't lost this. Are you there? I lost the student. Oh, she's gone. Oh, dear. Okay, she must have a little problem with her phones. Okay, if she comes back, that's fine. If not, let's keep going. Okay, to find the missing number here, right, we have 2 to 5, right, centimeters to meters. This one is also centimeters to meters, so it's okay. If they were mixed up, we would have a problem, okay? Centimeters to centimeters this way matches. Meters to meters will also match this way. Okay, to find this missing number, what do? Well, you can cross multiply, or, okay, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Evangeline. I
Hi,
thought you
I'm
clicked out on us. Okay, that's all right. Okay, Evangeline, how are we going to find this missing number n down here?
Missing. You would
Cross multiply? Okay,
yeah.
so what are you going to cross multiply?
You would cross multiply
2 times
2 times n.
and what do you use for a time sign? Do you use a little x or a dot or what?
An x.
Okay, we'll use your x then. 2 times n equals, cross multiply the other way.
4 times 5.
4 times 5, which is?
20.
20. Okay, what am I thinking of here? I almost put a 5 there. Okay, all right.
Okay.
How do you find n then?
You would find n by dividing 20 to.
And that is?
It would be 4.
20 divided by 2?
Oh, 5.
20 divided by 2?
Oh, then it would be 10.
20 divided by 2? I think you're having a hard time seeing it, which is the problem. 2 times what gives you 20?
2 times. 2 times.
Just relax. It's okay. It's all right. You're doing fine.
I'm trying to work.
Right, 10, isn't that right? 2
Yeah.
times 10 is equal to 20. All right, so your missing number is 10, right? Okay, now let's put it back up here and see what it looks like. We have 2 centimeters compared to 5 meters, right?
Yeah.
And that's supposed to equal 4 centimeters compared to the answer that we just got was 10 meters, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
10 meters. Okay, now look at this. Do you see that it really matches? Okay, centimeters to meters this way, centimeters to meter this way, centimeters and centimeters, meters and meters, and when you reduce it, doesn't 4/10 reduce to 2/5?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the important thing. We call this a scale factor as you go along. I don't know, have you used that word before?
No.
Okay, well, it tells you the proportion, it tells you the ratio that's going to work. Okay, so we found that this is what, 10 meters, right? Okay, now are you supposed to find something else? Were you supposed to find these other 2 sides on the smaller triangle?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. Let's do those then. And maybe you can put it right up above here. Okay, which side shall we look for next?
We should look for it would be it was 2/5 and then it's
Okay,
3
2/5 equals?
and 3 over n.
Okay, now which one? Let's see. Oh, they tell you that this side is 3, is that right? Oh, okay, this side is 3. That means you're looking for this side over here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so you're going to have 3 centimeters over. Again, you want to use n, right? Okay, so how would you do this particular problem?
You would say 2 times n
2 times n.
equals 3 times 5.
Okay, 3 times 5. So that means you're going to divide by, or 3 times 5 you know is what?
15.
Yeah, let's just put 15 there. And then what are you going to do?
You would 15 divided by 3 equals
15
5.
divided by 2. This is 2 here.
2. Okay.
So
It would be
7 and
7 and
1/2, right? Okay, 7 and 1/2 meters, right? Okay, and then the last, okay, so this side is 7 and 1/2 meters, okay? All right, so the other side you do the same thing, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Okay, now did they tell you this side? Let's see. Oh, this is 6 centimeters here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you're supposed to find this side over here. You would do it the same way?
Yeah.
Okay, and you can probably do that yourself, right? Okay, I think most students out there can because my time is running out. Let's give Evangeline a nice round of applause. She really did a nice job. Thank you, Evangeline.
Okay.
We'll be talking to you again, all right?
Okay.
My time is up, but don't go away. We still have 30 minutes of exciting English coming up. I'm Irene Masiamo for Homework Hotline.
Hi, I'm Angela Hewlett-Block, and welcome to the English segment of Homework Hotline.
And I'm Charles Fogarty.
And yes, you are, aren't you?
Last time I looked.
We're going to have some exciting things today. We are going to celebrate Gay and Lesbian Pride Month and talk about many of our people, writers, artists who have contributed such wonderful things to American history, literature, world culture. I'm going to do a poem by Henry David Thoreau. And as you know, in the LA Unified School District, we highlight writers, artists, people from world culture, from all ethnic groups. We talk about American Indians. We did a segment on the Black History Month.
And women writers?
Oh, don't let me forget the women writers, or they'll start calling me. We want our
you'll
time.
get calls.
I know. So today we are going to talk about some of our, one of my favorite writers, and we have this wonderful poster and poem, so I'm going to get out of the way. I might step in, though.
Oh, sure.
If I
Feel
have
free.
a question or two.
Feel free.
And I'll let Charles get started. So I'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay. All right. We're going to start today with one of my very favorite poets. Somebody I didn't really like till I was about 37, 38, and then bam, he came alive for me. And that's Walt Whitman. I've been talking about him a lot lately. But I want to start off with one poem that he wrote that it's dated May 4th, 1865, and it's going to be on your screen in a minute. And Whitman is most famous for his book Leaves of Grass. But Whitman, who was a gay man, expressed a great deal of the soul of America. He's considered one of the first great American poets, and he is the first modern poet in many ways. And this poem was written after Abraham Lincoln died and was shot. And Whitman was a great admirer of Abraham Lincoln, and Lincoln was an admirer of Whitman. He enjoyed his poetry very much. But this poem is set, if you look on your screen, it'll be on there in a moment. It was set in the camps of the Union Army at the end of the Civil War. And she begins, "Hushed be the camps today, and soldiers, let us drape our war-worn weapons, and each with musing soul retire to celebrate our dear commander's death. No more for him life's stormy conflicts, nor victory nor defeat, no more time's dark events, charging like ceaseless clouds across the sky. But sing, poet, in our name," this is the soldiers speaking, "sing of the love we bore him, because you, dweller in camps, know it truly. As they invault the coffin there, sing as they close the doors of earth upon him, one verse for the heavy hearts of soldiers." And this is, I think, what Whitman is most famous for, is his great compassion. And if we go over here to the board, let me find Whitman for you. There's Whitman. Can I get a close-up on that in any way, shape, or form? Yeah, that's Walt. And Walt Whitman is, as I said, one of the great writers of America. And if we can just look at this poster, I think we'll get an idea. This is just a smattering of very, very wonderful people who happen to be gay and lesbian, who've given an awful lot to the world. And if you go into the center here, I'll need another close-up if we can get, here we go. Here's this ugly puss right there, that's Socrates, the father of modern, or not modern, but of Western philosophy. That is Socrates. And this is Alexander the Great, who, the first world conqueror, who conquered Persia. And this, I believe, is Plato. I have a little chart here. You'll have to forgive me. Let's see. Yeah, that's Plato. And this is Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, who was also a philosopher. Okay, and then these are the ancient ones. These are the ones people know about. Here's the Emperor Wu, one of the great emperors of China. And this, let's see, this man, number 12, is a Japanese shogun. He's the founder of the Edo shogunate, and that was, I can't pronounce it. I wish Irene were out here. Ieyasu Tokugawa. And these are these are just the most famous of ancient times. And here we have Michelangelo, the great painter of the Sistine Chapel. And above Michelangelo is a part of the Sistine Chapel ceiling. This is a picture of God the Father creating the universe. And here is Leonardo da Vinci, probably the most brilliant man who ever lived, and with his painting of Mona Lisa. Nobody knows why she's smiling, but maybe he was just cracking jokes. I don't know. And then it goes on, and here's Richard the Lionhearted, who was one of the great leaders of the Crusades. And again, these are the more famous ones. Now, you'll have to excuse me as I go from, I've got a chart to figure out who all these folks are. Some of them are more famous than others. This is King James I. Now, not all of these people were exactly gay people. Some of them were bisexual, such as King James. And Peter the Great, the founder of St. Petersburg, the modernizer of Russia. And let's see, who is this fellow, number 16? Frederick the Great, Prussian king, great military leader. And then all of, these are the, famous folks who contributed. Now over here we have some very famous Americans. Here we have Cole Porter, the great Broadway musical comedy writer, who not only wrote the lyrics, he wrote the music too, which was very rare in those days. And sure, we could sing You're the Top. And here's Angela's favorite playwright, Tennessee Williams, who in my youth, I used to take great umbrage with. People would say I look like him. Sure, come on in.
I'm going to barge in because I think it would be helpful while we're talking about some of the, some of the actual, like the plays he wrote.
Well, his most famous play, I think, is The Glass Menagerie. Which is a beautiful play about a girl who is different, who's very strange. And Angela, if you read their philosophy and their art, very often, I think there is kind of a sensibility that perhaps came from their own experience of being different and not fitting in.
Right.
And The Glass Menagerie is a beautiful story of Laura, who is actually based on Tennessee Williams' actual sister.
Oh, okay.
It's a very autobiographical story.
All right.
And
some of, where's Cole Porter? Here?
Cole Porter's here.
So what were some of his other songs?
Well, let's see.
I can't remember any now that we're
You're the Top. Let's see, some of the...
so many.
Oh, God, I
Come on,
listen
some
to
of
them
the
all the
other
time.
old folks in here.
Yeah,
John.
What? Night and Day, you are the one.
Yes, all those beautiful songs.
Beautiful, beautiful songs.
Who's this here?
That is the Emperor Montezuma II.
Oh, okay.
The second to the last emperor of the Aztecs.
All right, and then we have our some of our famous
very
philosophers, early first philosophers,
Yes,
huh?
and here's James Baldwin, who was one of the first out writers who, he was one of the first black writers to get truly international, American black writers, to get truly acknowledged internationally, but he was also gay, and he was being criticized in his own community because of that.
And then we have here, not the person,
Oh,
or do we
I
have
already
him here?
talked about this.
Oh, you talked about Michelangelo?
Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel.
And Andy Warhol.
Andy Warhol, very, very. Oh, and here's Matrina. How do you say that?
Martina Navratilova.
Yeah, that tennis champ.
Tremendous athlete.
And
Now, can you talk about, did you talk about these down here? I'm sorry, I wasn't
Okay,
watching
that's
earlier.
okay. This represents the March on Washington back in what years were those?
93?
1979, 87, and 93.
Okay.
And this is kind of a conglomeration of it. And here, this is the very sad thing, of course, the AIDS blanket, the
I see.
AIDS quilt. And which have you ever seen it? It's a very
No, I haven't.
moving thing. It's,
And this
and
looks very,
this is
sad
really
also.
horrible. This picture represents the persecution of gay men by the Nazis
during the Holocaust.
during the Holocaust during Nazi Germany in World War II. And the interesting thing is about the gay prisoners, they were the only ones who didn't get any reimbursement, and they went straight from the concentration camps to prison.
Wow.
They were not freed because it was against the law to be homosexual in Germany. And the Allies
amazing.
said, you go to jail.
Very sad. Who was this artist again?
Oh, that's Frida Kahlo. No, she was a bisexual woman. She was married to Diego Rivera.
And I have several of these of her larger posters in my classroom.
She's
so-
very popular now. She's had a big comeback. And let's see.
Got the,
Oh,
this
Herman
one?
Melville
Yes.
with Moby Dick, except the great white whale looks pretty gray in that one.
yeah.
But this is Herman Melville, and who
trying to
was
see
a
if there's
wonderful
anyone else I
American writer.
recognize.
Tchaikovsky,
Oh, wonderful.
the Nutcracker Suite, and that guy.
Where's
And
Thoreau? Where is
Thoreau,
he?
where is Henry David Thoreau? Here he is,
Oh, okay.
right
That's
there.
what I'm going to just talk briefly about.
Yes, now
today.
Thoreau's had a big impact on the world,
Yes.
and we're still talking about him. Now, if you know who this one is?
No.
Bessie Smith, the
Oh,
great,
that is Bessie
the great
Smith.
blues singer.
Yes.
And then Gertrude Stein, a rose is a rose is a rose is a rose, and then
What
there's
is this up here?
oh, that's Nijinsky, the great Russian ballet dancer.
Oh, okay.
And there is it's a Russian name. I hope I can pronounce it. Number 29. He was the great impresario, Sergei Diaghilev, the Russian ballet impresario, who was really one of the founders of the
Did you
modern Russian
mention
ballet.
this one
Yes,
here?
and Leonardo and the Mona Lisa. And T.E. Lawrence. Now, Israel's been in the news lately, and of course he had nothing to do with Israel, but he was part of the liberation of Arabia. And so T.E. Lawrence of Arabia, has had an impact on the world.
I'm going to just step out and let you continue.
Well, if you have any more
All
questions.
right, if I have questions, I'll
I
come
only
back.
have about 2 more minutes anyway. Anyway, to look at some of the symbols here, the pink triangle, which you see sometimes around on bumper stickers and on lapels and places, that is what the Nazis made gay men wear in the concentration camps to identify them. And if you can see on some of the uniforms of the dead corpses here, well, I guess all corpses are dead, but you can see the pink triangle. And that was to identify. In the camps, they had all sorts of different things. I think, of course, the most famous and most infamous was the Star of David, the yellow Star of David. And then the, I think lesbian women wore black, communists wore red triangles, but it was the gay men who wore pink. But a lot of gay and lesbian people find this a very depressing symbol. And since, as they say, gay men and lesbians are found everywhere, a lot of them prefer the rainbow flag, which is much more cheerful, I think. And it's more life-giving. It's more celebratory, I think. And now here's a very famous writer, if I can get a close-up on him. This is Oscar Wilde. And Oscar is a very humorous man. He was very funny, but he had a sad ending, and I only have about 30 seconds to tell you, but he was persecuted in his later years, and but he never lost his sense of humor. When he was dying in Paris, he said to his friend, Lord Douglas, he said, "Bosie, either the wallpaper has to go or I go." And he went, and those were his last words. So he left him laughing. And I'm out of time.
That's what I said
I'm out
to
of
my
time.
husband. The wallpaper has to go.
Okay. You're on.
Join me
Yes.
here for a second while I talk a little bit about Henry David Thoreau, just briefly to continue to highlight one of our favorites, and particularly because of some of the things he wrote about in civil disobedience. Okay, I'll jump in there. Too bad more of us don't take many of his
Really?
ideas to heart. We'll see how many calls we get on that one after I read through this list of some of his ideas. But if you look here, he was an American philosopher, a naturalist.
Yes, he was a great scientist and an observer of nature.
Yes, and spent much time
Communing
just
with the bees and
yes,
the birds.
understanding nature and its connection to our lives, and a peace activist.
One of the first.
But one thing you were talking about earlier were his influences on
Yes.
some of the other people that we're very familiar with, like Gandhi, for example. And go on.
And
why don't
Martin
you-
Luther King.
And Martin Luther King.
The interesting thing about Thoreau, I think, is that he suffered. His idea of civil disobedience is that if a law is unjust, we moral people have a moral obligation to break that law.
Yes.
But we don't get away scot-free.
Right.
We have to endure the punishment. And he went to jail because he refused to pay a poll tax, I think.
Yes.
In support of the Mexican-American War, which brought California into the United States. And his aunt was so upset. It was like $1.50. It wasn't much. But she
But it
said,
was
Henry, what are you doing? And she went down and she got him out of jail. And he was a little angry at his aunt. But he lived his morals. He lived his principles.
Right, right.
And he then influenced. And then the book was forgotten. It was forgotten until the 1890s when a certain
Oh, sorry.
East Indian lawyer who was a lawyer in South Africa, and we all know how the evil system South
Yes.
Africa is finally coming out of, he read it, and it transformed his life, and that was Gandhi. And then, of course, Gandhi.
And I've seen a lot of these same influences, certainly in the writing and the actions of Martin Luther King.
Right.
One of his longer essays that he wrote from the jail, I can't
Birmingham
remember,
jail.
Birmingham jail's wonderful, wonderful piece. Many of you may want to look for it, but you'll see many of these ideas and concepts there that he points to. And that obviously influenced a lot of his work. So I'm just going to go
Okay,
through this
go
list.
to it.
Thanks,
You're
Charles. Go through this list of some of the main points that, just a few of the main points that come out in civil disobedience. If you look at these with me, first of all, government should be limited. It should not be involved in every aspect of our lives. And while I'm reading through these, think about those that you agree with or disagree with. I think you might be surprised, even though this was written quite a long time ago, that they still are very significant today. Secondly, government never accomplishes anything by itself, that the people are responsible for influencing and supporting and following through on those ideas. Thirdly, there must be more effective government. How many of you have ever thought that our government can be more effective? Number 4, principles are more important than the power of the majority. And think about that one for a second. Our individual principles, as Charles was mentioning before, if we feel that something is not right, one thing Thoreau said, that one right person constitutes a majority of one. That's an interesting concept. Number 5, people indirectly support the wrongs of government in several ways. You might want to think about how we all do that in our apathy. Number 6, people should not obey laws that cause injustice to others. That's where that idea of civil disobedience comes in. Those are one of the main proponents of some of the ideas of Martin Luther King, that we have a moral right to our fellow human beings. Number 8 here, government cannot touch the intellectual or spiritual part of a person. And many times we find or feel that maybe we are losing what's inside and being crushed and pushed aside by the government. And it's a reminder that it cannot touch the spirit. Just a few ideas from civil disobedience. I recommend that many of you who are interested in these ideas and would like to read more, please go to find some of the writings of Henry David Thoreau. And again, the reason I pointed to him today is because he is one of our highlighted gay writers today that was actually depicted on that wonderful poster. Hopefully you saw the segment earlier. Okay, I'm going to move on to some more truly mundane things. This has been really kind of interesting and very intellectual, but there are some other things we have to talk about. I'm going to talk about proper nouns and adjectives. I'm sorry, but we have to go there sometimes. And Charles did point out to me that this still relates because they all were proper nouns. They had first names, right? Ha ha. Charles, I didn't get a laugh on that one. Okay. Let's take a look at some of these proper nouns and adjectives. First of all, let's look at the proper noun side. For example, proper nouns name people. Dr. J.B. Wells, or ethnicities, and Koreans, for example. Places, the South Bay of Fundy. Notice the capitalization there, and proper nouns, remember, are capitalized. Days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Months, February, June, December, and I just picked these randomly. Organizations, National Association of Teachers of English. Well, I purposely put that one there, but notice again, the main words are capitalized for the proper nouns. Institutions, Stanford University. Languages, Japanese, French. Historical events like the Industrial Revolution. And I don't think I have on here monuments. Historical monuments are also proper nouns and capitalized. Periods in time, the Ice Age, for example, and documents like the Declaration of Independence. Now, proper adjective sounds unusual, but these are proper nouns that are used as adjectives, and therefore they modify nouns, and we also capitalize those. Look at these here. Japanese engineers, for example. This is a proper noun. It's used as an adjective, so we call it a proper adjective. Let me make sure this is straight here. Okay. Another one, January thaw, where we use the month January as an adjective to describe the thawing time. Okay. And Atlantic waters. Okay, so you get some ideas there. Now, what I'm going to do is work through several sentences and correct the punctuation, well, not the punctuation, but I will capitalize as many as I can those proper nouns and adjectives that are not capitalized. So why don't you work with me through a few of these. Okay, next fall, Kimmy will attend the University of Miami in Florida. So first of all, we have a season, okay? Now this is different here because the seasons are not capitalized here, but we have Kimmy, the first name, which should be a capital K, attend the university, which would be capital U, of Miami in Florida, okay? All right, so proper names and organizations, institution, for example. Let's look at number 2. While touring the White House, Lou and Aunt Di saw the president. Okay, the White House is it's a historical or it's a monument, so this would have to be capitalized. White House, and of course proper names like Lou and Aunt Di. And the president, okay? Now, in some instances, because we know we're referring to the President of the United States, you might see this capitalized. In other instances, if we had absolutely President Clinton, then you would capitalize it. If we were just referring to the president of a club, then it would definitely not be capitalized. But you may see if in some instances, sometimes you might see, if we absolutely know who that we're absolutely referring to, the President of the United States, you may see it capitalized. So that's, that's why I did that one there. Let's look at number 3. My aunt saw Greek statues and Stone Age tools at a British museum. Now, we have my aunt. Now, this aunt here is not capitalized because it's not used with a name. Okay, with a proper name like Aunt Di or Uncle Lou or so forth. So this would not be capitalized. Here we have Greek, and this would have to be capitalized. Not statues. Stone Age, because it is a period in time. and British, but not museum. If it was the complete name of a museum, like the Museum of Natural History, then yes, we would capitalize it, but we only capitalize the name of the country. Let's look at number 4. Did President Lincoln sign the Emancipation Proclamation? Well, first of all, I'm missing some punctuation here, right? I need a question mark at the end. I'm glad I caught that. Okay. Now we actually have the name, President Lincoln, so of course this would have to be capitalized with the P and the L, President Lincoln, and a document, the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay, let's go on to number 5. Please call Dr. B.F. Washington Jr. by Friday, May 12th. This one looks pretty interesting without any capitalization, but not scary. Doctor, of course, any kind of, when we have a title like this, it must be capitalized, and of course, initials we capitalize unless we're writing the name of someone like E.E. Cummings, the poet, and he always wrote his name in lowercase letters, but we would capitalize these, and Junior, the day of the week, Friday, and the month, May. All right, I think I have time for one, maybe 2 more if I work fast. When you get to the corner of Pond Avenue, turn north, okay? Always the first word in a sentence. One my son always, sometimes, I don't want to say always forgets, sometimes he forgets. To the corner of Pond Avenue, the name of the street, okay? Pond and Avenue, all right? And turn north. Now, when you're giving a direction is not capitalized. If we were talking about the north part of the country, then we would capitalize it, okay? But not when we're giving directions. And I think maybe I can do one more quickie. During this trip through the West, here we have an example. Through the West, the part of the country west, capitalize the first word in the sentence. Dale, the first name, saw Lake Mead and Zion Canyon. These places would have to be capitalized, and Zion Canyon. And I think that's just going to about wrap up all of my time today. I hope you enjoyed our English segment today, and I hope you enjoyed our math segment. Watch us next week, especially on Thursday the 13th, when we present the awards for the Homework Hotline Essay Contest. Have a good weekend.